Welcome back to Crime Scene 24/7. And if you're new here, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the full investigation we publish daily. In a quiet Ohio neighborhood, a tragedy unfolded that would forever alter the lives of two families. 6-month-old Royal Bates was placed in his crib for a nap, his parents believing he was safe. But within moments, their world shattered. The family's pit bull, Kilo, known for past aggression, was left unsupervised with the infant. The result was a fatal attack that crushed Royal's skull, ending his life before he could even speak his first words. This wasn't a random act. Warnings had been ignored, signs had been missed, and a preventable tragedy occurred. Now, as the community grapples with the aftermath, questions arise. How could this have happened? Who is truly responsible? Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. April 28th, 2024 was a day that began like any other in Marion, Ohio. Blake Bates and Alyssa Smith went about their morning routines, unaware that a decision made hours earlier would lead to an irreversible tragedy. Their 6-month-old son, Royal, was placed in his crib for a nap, his innocent face a picture of peace. But the family's pit bull, Kilo, had been left unsupervised with the infant. Despite prior warnings about Kilo's aggression, the dog was allowed near Royal. The result was catastrophic. Kilo attacked, inflicting fatal injuries that crushed the baby's skull. Royal was rushed to Marion General Hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The community was left in shock. How could something so horrific happen? Neighbors recalled previous incidents where Kilo had shown aggression, including lunging at a child and attempting to bite a delivery driver. Yet these warnings went unheeded. Blake Bates had even been charged and warned a year earlier after Kilo tried to bite a neighborhood child. Despite this, he and Smith left the infant unattended with the dog. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that this was not a random act. It was a preventable tragedy, one that raised questions about responsibility and the consequences of ignoring red flags. Blake Bates pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, acknowledging his role in the death of his son. Alyssa Smith pleaded guilty to child endangering and awaits sentencing. This case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of heeding warnings and taking responsibility for the safety of our loved ones. The loss of Royal Bates is a tragedy that could have been prevented, and it calls for reflection on how we can prevent such incidents in the future. As investigators combed through the Bates' home, they uncovered a disturbing pattern of neglect and ignored warnings. Text messages on Alyssa Smith's phone revealed multiple neighbors reaching out weeks before the tragedy. One read, "Please be careful. That dog is not safe around kids," while another warned, "You need to get that dog checked. He lunged at my son last week." Despite these clear signs, Kilo remained inside the home, often unrestrained, with the baby nearby. CCTV footage added chilling clarity. Just minutes before the fatal attack, Blake was seen opening the back door to let Kilo inside, laughing as the dog approached the baby's crib. It was a moment that investigators later called crucial evidence of negligence. Neighbors spoke of arguments between Blake and Alyssa, tensions over the dog, and warnings that went unheeded. One close friend recounted Alyssa saying hours before the incident, "If that dog hurts the baby, it's on you." Combined with forensic evidence, these accounts painted a grim picture of choices that led to the worst possible outcome. The investigation also revealed unsettling details from the parents' digital devices. Search histories showed Blake researching how to train an aggressive pit bull and what happens if a dog kills someone, while Alyssa texted, "I swear if that dog hurts my baby, I'll kill Blake." Each piece of evidence was a thread in a tapestry of tragedy that investigators painstakingly unraveled. As the story unfolded, the community demanded answers, accountability, and reflection. How could repeated warnings be ignored? What could have been done differently to protect Royal? These questions lingered as the legal process moved forward, bringing Blake Bates' guilty plea and Alyssa Smith's child endangerment charges into the spotlight. The courtroom was tense on the day Blake Bates entered his plea. With his family and the community watching, he admitted to involuntary manslaughter, acknowledging that his choices had directly led to the death of his 6-month-old son, Royal. The prosecution detailed how Blake had ignored prior warnings about Kilo's aggression, despite incidents involving neighborhood children and other animals. Alyssa Smith, facing charges of child endangerment, sat silently as prosecutors described her knowledge of the dog's behavior and her failure to act. The court heard the chilling account of the text messages, CCTV footage, and neighbor testimonies that painted a picture of negligence and disregard for safety. The judge reminded the parents of the irrevocable consequences of their decisions. "This is a tragedy that could have been prevented," the judge stated solemnly. "The loss of life here is immeasurable, and the responsibility rests with those who failed to act." Outside the courthouse, the community gathered to honor Royal. Candles flickered in the evening breeze as families and friends shared memories, expressed grief, and called for increased awareness about the responsibilities of pet ownership. The tragedy had sparked a broader conversation about child safety, accountability, and the consequences of ignoring clear warnings. For Royal's parents, the reality was now undeniable. The choices they made, the warnings ignored, and the moments overlooked could never be undone. The court proceedings would continue, but the emotional weight of that night in April 2024 would linger for the rest of their lives. The aftermath of Royal Bates' death rippled through the Marion community. Neighbors who had known the family for years struggled to reconcile the tragedy with the people they thought they knew. Candlelight vigils were held, signs reading, "Justice for Royal," and "A dog didn't fail, humans did," dotted the streets, and families shared stories of vigilance and caution with their own children. Animal control and child protective services faced scrutiny for failing to act on prior complaints. Neighbors like Tanya Lewis recounted calling authorities multiple times after Kilo had shown aggressive behavior, chasing a young boy and attempting to bite delivery workers, yet no decisive intervention occurred. The questions of accountability extended beyond the parents, highlighting systemic failures that allowed a preventable tragedy to occur. The case also sparked a nationwide debate about pet ownership and child safety. News outlets dissected the warning signs, forensic evidence, and the parents' decisions, while online forums filled with viewers debating what could have been done differently. For many, it became a deeply personal reflection. How would you protect your child if warnings went unheeded? Could you live with the consequences of a single overlooked decision? This story, while harrowing, serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us of the fragility of life, the importance of responsibility, and the devastating outcomes that can occur when warnings are ignored. Communities mourn, parents reflect, and the memory of Royal Bates lingers as a stark reminder of what could have been prevented. As the legal proceedings concluded, the weight of Royal Bates's death settled over everyone involved. Blake Bates faced prison time for involuntary manslaughter, and Alyssa Smith awaited sentencing for child endangerment. But beyond the courtroom, the real impact was measured in loss, grief, and unanswered questions. Families in Marion and across the nation were left to reflect on their own homes, their own children, and the choices that could mean the difference between safety and tragedy. Royal's story is a powerful reminder that prevention is often in the details, noticing warning signs, acting on concerns, and never assuming someone else will intervene. It challenges every parent, every pet owner, and every community to examine the responsibilities we sometimes overlook until it's too late. As we remember Royal, it is not only his life we honor, but also the lesson his loss leaves behind. The tragedy forces us to ask ourselves, how far would you go to protect your loved ones? What choices would you make differently if faced with similar warnings? Before we wrap up, let us know in the comments how this story made you feel and what steps you take to protect your family. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos.